in here.
Anyway,
We're live now. We're live. We are off. Welcome, everybody. This is the thing we do on a Sunday. I say we. Tonight it's myself and Malcolm, who I'll introduce in a second. Sadly, Andrea's not very well, so she's going to sit this one out, but hopefully she'll be back on form next week and we'll be back. But yeah, I'm very pleased to say Malcolm, the stamp man, as you can see down the bottom there, has joined us. Now, we briefly met at the eBay Open.
Yeah.
Which you reminded me of. But apart from that, this is the first chance I've had to get to know you and hear your story. So we're going to get into that in a minute.
Sure.
Before we start, though, if you don't mind, we'll just say a few hellos in the chat. But yeah, thanks for joining me. We will dig into your story in a minute.
Sure.
But we do have people are hopping on all the time. We're up to 80 people in. So do say hello in the side chat. Angel Delight, welcome. We're fine. Like I say, Andrea's a little bit poorly tonight, but I'm sure she'll be back on form next week. Claire is with us. Good evening, Lucy. Yeah, bank holiday. We're hoping tomorrow to get the booth finished and ready. So we've got a lot of work on to do tomorrow. Swamp Picker from the USA, you are welcome. Fluffy Muffin. It's Anastasia. Hope you are well. Hope you had a wonderful bank holiday weekend. Yeah, we've had an interesting one. There will be a video coming of a car boot sale, which really didn't work out how we planned. Kind of in a good way, but I'll leave that for the video. Okay, I'm going to scroll down because we've got a lot of chat to get through tonight. Ross's weekly update. Let's quickly do that. Hi, Ross. Thanks, Andrea, for the tips. Norwich had a good time, and Thetford was good for thrifting. Yeah, Thetford's pretty good. Got quite a bit there. The Garnet is a nice, cool pub. I don't remember the Garnet, to be honest. Interesting. Okay, right. Hi, Pete. I'm whizzing down to the end. Apologies if I'm missing any questions. If you do have questions as we go for Malcolm, please pop them in. Normally, Andrea is very good at monitoring the chat. We will try our best, right? But it does get tricky to have a conversation and monitor the chat. Okay, I am up to date in the chat. So welcome, Malcolm. Welcome to the channel.
Thank you. Yeah, cheers.
I guess the best place to start is if you could give us a little bit of a version of your story. I alluded to it in the title.
Yeah.
So how did you make the decision to quit your job, and how did you end up where you are now? Let's start with that.
Yeah, well, I think the title's probably about right. I spent 29 years working in the tire industry, literally from the day I left school on the Friday, started in the tire industry on the Monday, so age of 16, worked my way up through the tire industry, and I spent 22 years working for Pirelli tires, it was a fantastic job. Loved it. A lot of people, I think, couldn't believe it when I said I was leaving. But I'd always put a plan in at the age of 45, basically to quit the tire industry or to quit the job I was doing and do something else, just purely and simply because I could have just carried on doing it till the day I retired and I wouldn't have experienced anything else. And I've always had these sort of breaks in my life. Although I said I've done 29 years in the tire industry, I've done a lot of other stuff. We call it side hustles now, but property and reselling. Reselling even before sort of side hustles was even a thing. So I did, as I said, I left Pirelli when I got to 45, as I'd done 22 years there. And whilst I was working for Pirelli, my father passed away. He left me a stamp collection, and I hadn't touched stamps since the early 80s. We all did it as a sort of family then. Back then, lots of people did it. All the kids did it. There was obviously hundreds, millions of stamps coming through the post on envelopes, and you used to get them in big bags from charity shops, or there used to be a stamp shop in every town. How things have changed, hey? As I say, I hadn't touched a stamp since the 80s, but when he died, I obviously inherited the collection. I think part of the grieving process as well, I was up till sort of 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning, sort of going through it all, remembering a lot of the stamps that I'd seen from the 70s and 80s. And just a few cogs started to sort of click. And I thought, you know what, when I finish my job, until I decide what I'm going to do, and I really didn't have a clue, I will basically start selling these sets of stamps, because I'd sort of looked into it and I thought, rather than sell them as one bulk, if I sell them individually, I can effectively get a little bit more money for them.
Yep.
And so they went under the bed for, I don't know what it was, 8, 9 years, 10 years, something like that. And then the following week after finishing with Pirelli, I pulled them out, started selling them, and when I say it flew, it started off slow. Then I did sort of realize there was something in it, so I started buying some lots from the auctions, and it's basically just grew and grew, and I'm 5 years in now, and I never look back now.
So
It's
what
amazing.
sort of, give us an idea, the sort of scale you've built it up to now? What sort of numbers are you turning over in orders and
Okay,
turnover?
yeah. So first sort of year and a half, I was a private seller, purely on eBay. Didn't sell anywhere else. Obviously, I needed to switch to a business seller. It grew. I'm in my 5th, going on 6th year now, and I'm shipping between 900 and 1,000 orders a month. Predominantly to the UK to start with, and then the US is my second biggest customer, and then I ship all over the world as well. So I do, as I say, between 900 and 1,000 orders a month, and it's roughly through eBay between 10 and 11k a month now. Which, you know, you hear people saying, "Are stamps still a thing? Does anyone collect anymore?" Well, I'm selling 10k plus a month through eBay, plus what I do direct. So it's a
Yeah.
full-time job now.
It is quite surprising that you can comfortably turn those sort of numbers over. It's
Mm,
interesting because when you said you inherited that, I inherited my grandfather's cigarette card collection, and the bottom of that market fell out around the
mm,
same time as I
mm,
took it all on. We used to do it together. We collected postcards together, and it was similar to your story. It was a very nostalgic thing for me, and I kept them, and I completed loads of his sets.
mm,
But eventually I realized they were just sitting gathering dust in the loft after I think similar to you, part of the grieving process for me was finishing Grandad's sets. And I
mm.
hunted down all of these cards and finished them. But I eventually, maybe 10, 15 years after that, I decided they just sat there. So I've sold most of them on now. I've still got some.
Yeah,
So other
yeah.
people can enjoy them because I wasn't enjoying them anymore. So
Mm. I mean,
but
a lot of people are saying that the hobby, it's dying, it's disappearing. Obviously, we're age of the internet and everything now, and it's not the sort of hobby kids would pick up. You're not getting many sort of free stamps come through the post, or your big bags of stamps through the charity shops. But I think we're sort of heading towards this sweet spot where you've got a lot of people that I think they go back to their hobbies when they retire.
mm,
So, you I don't know if you went fishing as a kid, collected stamps as a kid, whatever that is. I think when you get to that sort of retirement age, especially if you retire younger than the retirement age, you start and pick up hobbies again. You've
mm,
got more time. And I've noticed, a decent amount of customers starting to collect. You can see they've started to collect because of the time period they're starting from. And I get a lot of
mm.
repeat customers, so you can see them constantly coming back. And I think we sort of, there's that nostalgia there. And I have to say, it's a lovely thing to do. There's some cracking sets out there now. I mean, a lot of the older sets, 70s and 80s, the themes are a little bit boring, a little bit dull. But now you've got a lot of cracking stuff. Star Wars, or, you know, Pink Floyd set, or, a
Yeah.
Queen set, or a Peppa Pig set. You name a theme, you can get a set of stamps. So, only in the last sort of month I've started doing TikTok around individual sets of stamps. So I'm taking a set of stamps, let's say a Queen set. And on TikTok, I've got the ability of putting Queen music to it, and a few special effects. And I'm just hoping to connect to sort of a new audience and sort of bring it all sort of back around again. But I love it. I love my time at Pirelli. Really good company, lovely people to work with. But I wouldn't go back to working for a company now. Love what
It's
I do.
it's It's great that you almost fell into this. The way you described it, it was, I'll have a go at selling some stamps. And 5 years later, you're selling, I guess, hundreds of thousands of stamps. I mean, it's just,
Yeah.
we can see, is that your storage behind you for the product?
Yeah, I'm
Yeah.
basically, I mean, we talk about doing, I don't know, this year I'll do 120, 130k, but actually it's going up still because I didn't register for VAT until April. I was actually holding back my sales January, February, March because
Yeah.
I was tracking them to make sure I stayed below the VAT threshold. So once I finally did it, got VAT registered, the shackles were off, and I've been able to sort of run with it now. So
Yeah.
it's growing. But basically, I'm in this particular room. This is about 3 meters long, 2 meters deep. you know, you've got 100K's worth of saleable value stock, if you like, and a bit another spare bedroom I've started to take over, and a bit in the garage as well. But
Right.
you know,
Well, the one obvious thing as to why stamps would be a great thing to sell is, I mean, look at it. This is a room full,
yeah,
right? And yours you can fit on a few shelves, and that's way more products than I probably own. So
yeah.
it's really efficient on space, I
On
guess.
space, on packing, and on sending as well. I mean, come where are we, Tuesday, because it's bank holiday, I'll have 3 days worth of picking. I'll have, I guess, 100+ orders to pick and send. But realistically, when I've picked and packed, I'll be sending out a stack a little bit bigger than that.
Yeah,
That's it. So, you know, I do a trip to the 1 or 2 trips to the post office every day. Which that now this is the other thing. This is what's really nice about it all. One of the reasons I didn't say one of the reasons I wanted to leave corporate was, although it's a fantastic job and I got to travel quite a bit and go to the nice things and was the Formula One and all that sort of thing. And, you know, my friends thought I was bonkers when I said I was leaving, but I knew if I'd stayed there, because of the way you travel and you don't know if you're going to get stuck on the motorway to get home. You plan to get home to pick your lad up from school or whatever, but you don't, because of traffic or something happens or you get a phone call. I just knew I wouldn't get to see much of my lad going to school. I wouldn't get to do the school runs. I wouldn't get to meet, I don't know, the parents of the other kids, the teachers. And I'm so glad I did it, because I do the school run 3 or 4 days a week now. And on the way with the school run, we go past the post office. So my lad will come in with me, we'll drop the letters off, or I'll take him to school first and they'll go into the post office. Do that twice a day while it's sort of on the way to school. And it's great. I mean, we've got a lovely network of friends that we've met, other parents that we wouldn't have had, you know, if I'd stayed in that job at Pirelli. And what I do now is so flexible. I mean, sometimes I get up and work at 5 o'clock in the morning, but it doesn't mean I work crazy hours. It's just how my body clock works. In the summer, I'm sort of usually up 4 or 5 o'clock, and I'll pick a lot of my orders very early, and my picking is often done in time to go on the school run. So once I get back from the school run, in theory, the day's my own. I mean, it's not, because I'll do listings or work on some stagnant stock or something.
It's great to hear you say that, because reselling is very often a lifestyle choice.
Yeah.
For exactly those reasons. That's very similar to Andrea and my story. We had Ellen and we decided we're quitting our jobs, and we were there, both of us were there for all of those moments that perhaps other people don't have the privilege to be able to witness. So and we wouldn't change any of that. It was tough in the early years, but it was stressful, but it was our stress and we owned it, and the control and the freedom that it gave us. I echo exactly what you just said.
Absolutely. I mean, now we do this, you get out of it what you put in. So the reality is, if you spend less time of a week because you've got various appointments or things with the kids, or you're going on holiday, then obviously you earn less. Put a lot of hours in and you earn more. The other reason that stamps sort of worked out for me was I've always worked on the basis, whether it's in my job within sales management or doing this, that if you can set things up right and it starts to run itself, it makes it a lot easier. And what I mean by that is, with the stamps and that, I've picked all of the modern stuff where I can use a lot of stock photos, etc. And so I have multiple quantities of the same item. So when I bring a collection in, I can just effectively change quantities. So it goes from 8 to 9, rather than having to do a whole new listing. So I'm just sort of endeavoring to sort of have more and more listings constantly live. I think I've got about 5,500 with stock against it on eBay, but I've got 7,000 odd descriptions sat there that I can just add stock. I can add stock to. And the aim is basically just to keep growing that. So almost when I get a collection in, I can just add the stock. So it's everything I can do to cut out time, so I can grow the turnover, because there is only me in a business. So I need to streamline it as good as I can.
Yeah, efficiency is going to be the key. The only time I've experienced something vaguely similar to your operation was when I specialized in Lego, and we were doing it by part numbers. So we'd get a collection in and you could add 1 quantity to this, 10 quantity to that. But I just went mad with the repetitiveness of it. Is that an issue for you, or do you still enjoy?
No, not at all. Because when I bring a collection in, there's lots of sets that I always get, but then there's lots of special stuff can be in there as well. And I nearly did Lego on top. That was good. I was before I got so busy with this, or this became so successful. I was thinking, what else can I do that I could sort of time with this? Because obviously I've got very cheap postage. Not mentioned that at the moment in regards to the stock. If I have overstocks of what I sell, basically I can just use it for postage.
Yeah.
So I use my own stock for postage, and I sell overstocks for postage for other people to send parcels and letters out as well. So I was thinking, right, well, what else can I sell that will fit in? Ideally envelopes, or if not, small jiffy bags or small parcels or whatever. And Lego was sort of in there because that's also in my way of thinking. It's all got numbers. It's all got
Right.
stock codes. Stamps actually haven't really got numbers, but because they're identified by dates, I can file everything by year and by set. So it's very easy for me to pull out the orders.
Yeah, and I guess what you're saying is it's relatively easy to scale that. This is really
Yeah.
hard to scale because it's so random what I pick up, and it's
Mm,
bulky and it's awkward, and I sell everything and anything. But
mm.
that's what I love. That's the element of what I do that I love, and I had to learn that over time. But I admire and envy in some ways your operation because it's so simple and slick, right?
Yeah, I mean, I've listened to obviously a good number of your videos, and in particular the one with Simon that you did what was it, about 3 weeks ago, 4 weeks ago.
Yeah.
And obviously you were talking about you enjoying the packing side of it, which is a good job given what you do.
Right.
Whereas I think Simon was, slightly different with the clothing. I couldn't do it. I mean, the only parcels I have are when I have albums that I've took the stamps out of that I sell. I hate
Yeah.
doing it. They build up because I don't like it. I just don't really like doing it.
Really.
Whereas obviously I can just sort of pull an envelope. I already have them sort of stamped up ready with labels on the back. So if someone orders one set, I can pull it out, add the address, and in it goes, and that's done. So I mean, in theory, an order can take a minute. But
Yeah.
obviously, if someone's buying multiple items, sometimes people buy 20 or 30 sets. That might take half an hour to pick it or whatever. Or if occasionally I can't find a set, that's a killer.
Yeah, I bet.
When you're losing something that's sort of
Yeah.
an inch square, it's just like, oh no.
We've all been there, Malcolm. Don't panic.
Yeah.
I must dip into the chat. I've
Yes.
seen some questions whiz past. I'm going to scroll back from the end, and we'll touch on a few. See if we can touch on a few of these. Let's have a look. I saw some go by. There's a lovely comment quickly I'll read from Ross. Fantastic stuff. You definitely did it for the right reasons, and so many things are more important than a big corporate role. Couldn't agree more.
Absolutely.
Phil, good friend of ours, sounds very similar to my coin business model.
Yes.
Exactly that.
Right?
Yeah. We could, if you got a quick answer, where do you source? Where do they come
from? Well, this is the other thing I've tried to streamline as well. So I buy from auctions, and I buy from any sort of platform as well, whether it be eBay, marketplace. Well, or it could be from people that do house clearance and that sort of thing as well. But in terms of my time, because I think this is why I got in contact, because I think right at the end of your video with Simon, I think you put it out there. How did you say it? Because Simon did so many hours and everything else. Like you said something along the lines of who sort of got it streamlined,
I think I said if anyone knows has sorted out time management within a business,
something like that.
let me know. And you got in touch and said, well, I think I've kind of sorted it.
Yeah, well, just in regards to the buying, I probably only buy between 40 and 60 times a year. That's it. So 2 or 3 times a month maximum. When I do the auctions, I try and buy big, because when you go to the auctions, you need to do viewings, really, so you know exactly what's there, because the stock might be damaged. It might not be what you think it is. You're only going to see a description and a few photos if you look at it online. So you need to go and do viewings, and your viewings can take up half a day or your whole day, depending on how many lots you're looking at. So if you're traveling, then spending the time doing the viewings, I try and fill a full day and then buy big, especially if I know we're heading towards when maybe Royal Mail are going to do a price increase. So I've bought really big in August before Royal Mail have announced. I think in September they'll put their prices up again. I mean, the first class stamp now is £1.70. Personally, I think it'll go to 185 or 195. So I've chanced it, and I've bought really big in August. a lot.
Yeah. We must talk about using stamps, but not yet, because I need to finish these questions.
Sure,
but
yeah, go for it. Sorry.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I've got some questions about that as well. But flipping Maggie, stamps obviously would take up less space than pots or any of this stuff. I mean, I've got a massive vintage suitcase here, for example. You know, it's crazy what we pick up. Right, let's crack through some of these. We kind of covered this. Ross says, with that many orders, how much do you have listed? So what's your current inventory at?
I've got about 5,400 items live. I've got over 7,000 descriptions in eBay. Just I'm waiting to add some stock to them. I try and add. It varies between 10 and 50 listings a day. Not every day. Some days I just don't fancy listing. So I don't. I should, because I think it helps the algorithms if you keep it consistent, a list every day. I think there's about 25,000 individual items live at the minute.
Will's saying about with those numbers, you must have a massive amount of knowledge. I guess you kind of learn on the job with something like this, do you?
Do you know what? I had to sort of learn on the job, and actually in the very early days, I made a few mistakes or didn't understand the quality perhaps right. I've really sort of condensed the knowledge. It sort of improved it in the last 5 years. I had a basic knowledge of stamps as a collector as a kid, but I don't know, it just sort of came back. And then there's a sort of chunk of rules that you can follow, but I don't do all of the old stuff. So I don't do all the sort of Queen Victorian stuff. I do everything that's current, anything sort of Queen Elizabeth that's actually still current for postage because of the model that I said. For me, it's maths. It's the closest thing to money.
Yeah.
And so the percentages come into play and your costs, and it just makes sense to me.
Yeah, absolutely. That's something I was going to touch on, because when you're selling to a collector's market, and you just touched on the fact you have to learn what mint means, what the gradings are, and what collectors are looking for and what they want to know. And I had to learn that very quickly when I started selling vinyl online. Selling to the vinyl market, there's certain things you have to declare and talk about, and they want to know. And if you don't, you're going to get negative feedback. It's as simple as that.
Absolutely. I mean, quality is everything with this product. It's something that somebody wants to collect and keep. And I specialize purely in stamps from Great Britain and the Channel Islands and the Isle of Man, and all Queen Elizabeth. So my knowledge on the older stamps would be a lot more basic, but my knowledge, I'd like to think, on Queen Elizabeth up to date, I think would be pretty good.
Interesting one here, Misty and Mittens. I bought 4 albums of stamps for £12 and sold over £1,500 worth. Didn't know what I was doing. So that shows the model in a nutshell, right? Breaking down collections.
It can happen. Usually when you buy from auctions, it's a percentage model in terms of what I buy. And so I have a spreadsheet ready, sort of worked out to know if what I'm going to pay up to. But sometimes, you can pick up, I've picked up lots for £100, £200 before, and it's had £3,000, £4,000, £5,000 worth of stamps in it. So it can happen.
I think we've answered Sharon's question. You said you specialised in the UK and the modern stuff, so not international.
Yeah, no. Other countries, I'd sort of tend to put them back into auction because my level of expertise isn't there, and I've only got so much time. I couldn't list them all.
Sharon also asked about the old post office postcards, the PHQ. I used to collect those.
Yes.
PHQ cards.
Yes, got a lot of those. In fact, I've got a lot downstairs that I need to do. A lot of the more modern ones. That sort of area's dropped off a bit. There's not as many collectors of those at the moment. I sell them really cheap. I've actually got a chunk of those in as a charity donation listings as well. I've put a few hundred lots in on eBay where I donate 20% to charity, and there's a chunk of PHQ cards actually in that as well. But yes, I do. I still do them. Yeah. Did she ask, do they have any value? Oh yeah, the value has dropped massively on them. They don't sell as well as they used to.
collect those with my granddad. We had a kind of parallel collection, and I decided to clear out a lot of my collecting way back, and I sold my whole collection off, and the bottom had already fallen out of that. The only ones with value were the early ones, really early from when they started doing it. So
there are people that buy them for sending to I don't know if you've heard of postcards of kindness, but it's basically where people send postcards, whether it's somewhere around the country or sometimes the stamp ones to old people's homes, etc. Just as a nice thing to do. and obviously people will reminisce, you know, from getting a postcard. So it's quite nice.
Interesting. We've kind of covered this. How many years experience stamp collecting do you have? So that was more something you did in your past, the collecting for yourself. But
Yeah.
are you actually collecting now, or is it purely business?
No, it purely business.
Right.
I do look at sets and think, oh, do you know what? Oh, the Star Wars set. I mean, I've got some on my wall, some Star Wars sets. Just sets that I like, sort of in A4 sheets on the wall in pictures and that. Dad's Army, love Dad's Army. You know, so there's so many sets that actually resonate with me. But no, I've got a huge collection behind me, so it's
Exactly. Well,
you
you
know,
get to enjoy what you own for a brief time before you sell it, right?
yeah, I do. You know, and they're always here. So yeah.
Yeah. I think I've scrolled back and got to most of the questions. If I haven't, can you pop them in again? I can't get right back to the beginning of the chat. So apologies if we've missed some. Just pop them in again and we'll try and get onto them. Let me see if any more have come in. Okay, we've covered that. We kind of covered that, but you can touch on that again. So an average day, you were saying you would try and get some listings on at least.
Yes, I mean, realistically, I should put 10 or 15 on a day, but some days I'll put 30 or 40 on, or 50 plus, because they're relatively quick for me to do. You know, I'm not having to sort of take 10, 15, 20 photos. Usually it's one or two photos of the stamps. But again, a lot of my time has already been, I've put the hard work in before, so the listings are already there, and I'm adding, a lot of my time is actually adding stock to my listings. But yeah, 10, 15 is what I aim for a day. New listings, or I'm revising, I'm doing sales similar, to sort of bring back some of the dead listings.
Swamp Picker has an interesting point,
Yeah.
saying, I guess taking pictures is very important when it comes to stamps to get crisp, detailed pictures.
Yes, absolutely. And it's all, as I think I mentioned before, it's all about quality. So I'm very particular what I send out. I think I managed to achieve and keep my 100% feedback. I shouldn't really say this, should I? Because I'll probably get one next week, but I think I've done 3 years now.
It's so hard to keep that pure, you know.
It's really hard. I mean, what I will say is I don't know if I could have done reselling if I was selling clothes or a bit of everything, or tech, because there's a lot more things can happen with deliveries, with scammers or whatever it is. I've got a lovely customer base. I mean, the gentleman that mentioned about coins would probably be very similar. I have a lovely, lovely customer base in the UK, the US, across the world, and very, very genuine group of customers, and hundreds of repeat customers. So it's great. But to answer the question, yeah, the quality of pictures are really important. So I do zoomed in pictures on some. Again, depends on what it is.
Let's do these few more questions, and then I do want to talk to you about this using stamps for postage and some questions I have. So Ross says, when you left the job role, your previous employment, if you don't mind me asking, did you have a savings buffer, or did you already have the business set up, or did you dive in cold turkey?
Okay. I had a buffer, but it wasn't it actually sort of, well, there was savings there, but I finished at the same point that I'd bought a house and I wanted to do a renovation project on it, basically build a big extension on the house. And I sort of looked at it as I'd be paying myself by project managing it and doing a chunk of the work myself, as opposed to paying a builder to do everything. So when I left my job, that was planned to do. So I had the cash there effectively to do that. Also lucky enough to have some properties that I rent out as well. So I'm well aware I was in a privileged position to be able to give up my job and have that scope to fail, if you like, as a reseller. Whereas, you know, when I go to some of the eBay meetings and that, and you know, you have the seller panels, and every meeting someone will always say, how did you make that decision? How did you do the transition from working full time to reselling? It's hard. You know, I can see how hard it would be for a reseller to go from a full-time job to reselling, because all of a sudden you're losing a lot of security, aren't you?
Yeah.
You know, you haven't got you know, if you're sick, when you're reselling, you don't do any work, do you? You don't earn any money effectively.
It's a big leap, and mentally,
Mm,
all of a sudden, everything's on your shoulders. I think
yeah,
that's the part of it that perhaps people underestimate. It's like your
yeah,
paycheck isn't guaranteed now, and it's all on you.
yeah.
That side of it, I think, is a shock to the system for some people. It was to us, all of a
Hmm.
sudden it's like, I think I can do this. And I left my job in the police, and Andrea left Amazon, and we had a small child. We
Mm,
were crazy in many people's eyes, but that added pressure pushed us so hard,
mm.
right? To
I
make it.
think I think I was lucky as well in that I could have jumped back into the tire trade if I needed to, or if something
Right.
went wrong with the property. I mean, there's always risk with the property as well because you could get some bad tenants and not pay the
Mm,
bills all of a sudden, or the house could be empty.
yeah.
I mean, obviously, COVID was a little bit tricky and
But
that sort of thing.
you
But
clearly worked hard and put yourself in that financial situation. That was no accident. So you've achieved that. Don't play that down. That's a huge
yeah,
step.
I got my first house, I think, when I was 20. I said to my
Wow.
parents because they were renting. I was living with them and they were renting. I said, well, why don't I buy a house and you move in with me? So, yeah, so we did a doer-upper and we got that done. And when I sold it, I think I'd made £9,000 on it or something. And as a 21-year-old, by the time I'd finished it, it was like, hang on, I'll buy and sell houses sort of thing. So I did, I did a few. And then, yeah, I built my first house. I built two houses. So I built one when I was 30. Again, learning on the job, I suppose. Um,
That's crazy.
but yeah,
Wow. Yeah.
I mean, for probably 20, 25 years, I'd worked full time and I had a part-time job as well, just to be able to do that. But yeah, yeah, I still feel
It,
lucky.
it's so common when I have these chats and I meet other resellers that there's a common thread very often that we're grafters,
Mm,
right? No matter what people might say about us or our choices, we've worked hard to get here, and that is often not mentioned,
yeah.
right? So yeah, it's refreshing to hear you say
Mm,
that, how hard you've worked and all the things you've achieved.
mm.
Right, I think we're kind of up to date. Let's have a quick look. See, this question, I thought it might come up about, I mean, you said you don't dabble in the Victorian and the early stuff, but have you ever found a penny black or something incredibly valuable in a collection?
I haven't. I get obviously asked this whenever I'm talking about stamps at a meeting or wherever. I have got and had penny blacks. I've never found the absolute wow stamp that's going to make me 10, 20 grand on a stamp or whatever it is. I've never been looking for it because I don't tend to buy the old collections. That said, I do get collections come in and I get the wows where, I've bought a lot for a few £100 and there's some really good stuff in there. And it might turn into 3, 4, 5 grand lot. I'm quite happy sort of finding lots like that. It's yeah. So no, I haven't. I've got penny blacks, yes, but a lot of penny blacks actually they're not worth that much.
No?
There are some examples that really are, but there's a lot that you can buy them on eBay or whatever for 60, 70, 80, £90 because the quality of them's not great.
Yeah.
Uh,
Phil touches on, Phil has the coin business, similar
yes,
sort of model to you. Repeat customers are key, and they were when I was doing Lego. Quickly, we built up people who appreciated our service, and they would get in touch, and they would, say, "Can you put a special order together?" or that sort of
yeah.
thing. And also, when you've got a setup like yours, you probably get very often a customer will come in and they'll buy 10 or 20 things, and you put it all together, and that's where your income comes from. It's not necessarily selling individual stamps or Lego bricks. It's the multiple orders, right? Do you get a lot of that?
Oh, a lot. I mean, sometimes over a weekend, actually. Usually I'll pick and send on a Friday, and Saturday morning sometimes I'll pick and send me orders. But if I don't on a Saturday, come Monday, I could have 3 or 4 orders from the same customer.
Yeah.
I know I've got one customer in particular that when I pick his order, and I've sort of worked this out now, when I pick his order and market dispatch, he obviously gets a notification to say it's moving, and it pushes him and he orders again. So
Right.
I've had to start keeping the envelope
Yeah.
open, ready to put the next one in because I was like, oh no, I've got to open it. But no, it's great. As I said, I've already said it, but I've got a fantastic customer base, really, really nice people, and I've had people right from the start, right from the very start, and you can sort of follow their collecting journey because you get a lot of customers collect from the 70s when we went from pre-decimal to decimal.
Yeah.
So starting in 1971, then you can see them going through the 80s or the 90s and then right up to date. So yeah, really good, really nice customer base.
So we wanted to talk a bit about using stamps
Yeah.
as stamps for your delivery. Now, I was under clearly the wrong impression that once they brought in those little barcoded ones, that everything previous you couldn't suddenly use. I thought that was the whole point of that.
Right. There
Oh,
is this. Yeah, this is why I wanted to talk about it, because there is a lot of misunderstandings about it. And look, sometimes that can obviously help the way I buy, because there isn't an understanding of it.
mm,
But again, we've all said many a time, again, knowledge is key in all of this. But yeah, basically what happened was we had the old Queen head stamps. I think I've got one somewhere to hand, actually. Might be easier to explain. So everyone will be familiar with, if we can see these, bit of reflection, sorry, the older Queen's head, they're first class stamps and a second class stamp. They're the ones that were effectively discontinued. You were able to send them off to Royal Mail on a swap out scheme, and Royal Mail then basically would send you back barcoded stamps. They're
mm,
large, actually, but yeah, barcoded stamps, which are obviously good for postage. These can't be used for postage, they'll get rejected. But then on top of that, you have commemorative stamps. So anything commemorative with pictures on.
yeah.
So you'll have what we call NVIs, non-value indicator stamps, which are like your first class, second class stamps and e-stamps. And then you'll have other stamps that have got values on them. These
Mhm.
are all valid for postage.
Wow. Do
And
you think they
so many people,
purposefully were ambiguous with that? Because I remember reading the notification, you have until this date and all of your old stamps won't be valid kind of thing. I think they
yeah, the
kind
communications, well, they were a little bit confusing, because originally they were going to include Christmas stamps in taking out when they took out the Queen's head stamps. That would have
mm,
been very confusing, because they're like picture stamps.
yeah,
And there would have been a lot of confusion. Obviously, there was a lot of kickback on that, and they agreed to leave Christmas stamps in.
right.
So anything that's yeah, a commemorative picture stamp, generally speaking, is still valid. Um, if you've got something like a first class stamp, it hasn't got a value on it. It's the value of whatever a first class stamp costs now. So at the moment, that's £1.70. And so that can be used as a first class stamp, or that can be used as £1.70 towards the cost of sending a parcel. So if you've got something like, I don't know, this is quite a nice one. So where are we? Second class 2 kilogram signed for parcel would cost, where are we? £5.40. Effectively, you could use 3 first class stamps at £1.70 each and add a 30p stamp to it, and there's your parcel going. And obviously, this is how I send all of my items, whether they're letters or parcels.
Yeah.
And obviously, you're able to buy these at a discounted rate from me, but also from a number of other sellers as well. When you're doing something like this, if you're happy to use stamps rather than printed labels, etc., you can be doing your postage at about 65% of the value that it would normally cost. So there's quite a saving.
There is. And as I've just shown you, that, and you probably are aware that a lot of people do not know that commemoratives are still valid. That's quite a
Yeah.
revelation to me.
Yeah. Um, I think obviously gradually some are, but yeah, there's a lot that a lot don't know. I mean, actually, as one of my feedbacks the other day did say, I was surprised there was commemorative stamps on it, and that was for someone that's a stamp collector.
Yeah.
So, but
So
they are.
with that in mind, so you're sending out all those couple of hundred envelopes a week or whatever it might be, and you're
Yep.
putting a commemorative stamp on most of them, I
Yes.
assume.
Yes.
So the negative is there's no tracking on any of that.
No, no, there can be tracking as well. So I'll pack all of my items. So there's a first class sign for.
Right. So you can add sign for, but then that's an
Yes.
extra 80, 90p or something.
Yes. But as I say, you add the value of the stamps up to equal the cost of the sign for. So you'll have your normal Royal Mail costs. You get your Royal Mail costs, etc. And if it says, I don't know, a first class sign for regular letter is £3.60, you essentially could add 2 £1.70 stamps and a
Oh, I see.
20p, and that's enough to pay for your first class sign for.
Right. So you can stick on enough value to cover the recorded element as well.
Absolutely. Whether it's signed for, I mean, special delivery, I send orders out if it's over £100 via special delivery. My international orders, if they're tracked, that cost £8.50. I'll basically put 5 first class stamps on it to send a letter international tracked.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow, I'm learning stuff here. So,
Yeah,
do,
and it's a lot cheaper.
is there any pushback with Royal Mail? Do they like this? Do they care? Does everything go through smoothly with it?
There's certainly no pushback from Royal Mail at all. Sometimes certain post offices might be a little bit. I mean, I get on fantastic with my post office, but they're obviously got to handle this service for you. But no, absolutely, you can do it. Absolutely, 100%. There shouldn't be any pushback on it at all. I've done it, as I say, for 5 years, and as I say, I send out 30, 40 letters, a day.
Yeah.
And it's absolutely fine. Everything gets there fine. As I say, I've had 100% feedback for the last 3 years. I'm doing 900 orders a month.
So, are you selling stamps to other sellers to use for that purpose then as well?
Yes, first and foremost, originally it was for collectors, but because I was getting a lot of overstocks, first of all, I used on my own postage.
Yeah.
But because as I've grown and I'm doing a lot more, you get certain sets that will always sell as soon as you get them. I don't know if it's got a theme like Harry Potter or something, but then there's other sets that aren't as collectible, that I then push to my postage pile. And yes, so I basically sell stamps onto resellers. I do it through my eBay account and direct. Very soon I'm opening an Etsy and a Shopify store where I'll basically just have the postage side of the business on there. I mean, roughly, you'd buy a first class stamp from the post office at £1.70. My price, so 100 first class stamps would be £170. You can buy 100 first class stamps off me on eBay at £117.95. And with a coupon, as well, it's even cheaper, down to sort of 105. And I sell direct again at £105 for £170 worth of postage, basically.
Right.
So it's 60%. Same with the mixed values. Yeah.
50 quid saving on
100. Yeah.
That's significant, right? In a business.
Yeah, absolutely. And there's some people love doing it. And actually, I mean, some people's businesses match them. I mean, I've got some lovely customers, some that sell seeds, wedding invites. So if you're sending a wedding invitation, you could have a plain boring, the barcode stamps aren't very nice. Or I don't know, you could put something like flower stamps on them.
Yeah.
Which would be quite nice. Or I don't know, if you're selling something to do with trading cards, or you might put Marvel stamps on it.
Right.
I've got a customer that I do postage for. He sells photographs and postcards of trains. So I put as many train stamps in for him as possible. So you can almost sort of theme it a little bit.
Yeah, that's fascinating. I have genuinely learned stuff tonight. So thank you for that, Mark.
That's what we're here for.
Let me just dip back in the chat quickly. What's this? Paul says here, the bad part I find about stamps, I have maybe 250,000 of them. Started looking them up and none were worth listing. Interesting.
Right. It certainly depends on what they are. Obviously, I don't have that experience. I sell a hell of a lot. It depends what they are. You can't go by the value that's in the books, the stamp books, the guides. Very often it could be a tenth of what the book says it is. It depends. I mean, if you get a lot of childhood collections, where people have got them off letters and they put them in scrapbooks, might have paper on the back of them, or very random, or from all over the world. I often get asked to sort of look at them, and I, you often say they've got sentimental value rather than saleable value, if you like.
Right.
But you can go to the other end of the scale where you could have a collection could be worth 50, 100,000 pounds. Obviously could go to a lot more, the real top end.
Yeah, it illustrates the fact that within any niche there's valuable stuff and there's the bog standard stuff that's common.
Absolutely.
And it's all about education and knowledge, really, I guess.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, this is a Royal Mail lesson. Yeah. Okay, let's see if there's anything else before we move.
I mean, let's not forget, Royal Mail have already sold these stamps and made a lot of money basically out of someone going to the shop and buying those stamps and just sticking them in an album. You'd buy that set now for £17 today and just stick it in an album as a collector. So all we're doing by using it is just using the stamp now that someone bought a few years ago.
Yeah.
So the Royal Mail, they've got the money out of it already. That's why it's fine.
Yeah, they've had the revenue. Exactly.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's not like you're cheating the system, really.
No.
Okay, let's see. I think we're up to date. Oh, Phil again. 50% of my orders are sent using stamps. I do the same as Merck, especially lower value orders where the tracking isn't an issue so much. Right.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
Flipping Maggie. Yes, commemorative stamps are still valid. Even some post offices don't realise this. Well, there you go.
There's a lack of knowledge in Royal Mail. You know, there's been cases of stamps kicked out historically that shouldn't have been. That said, the only to be a little bit cautious here, there are fake commemorative stamps out there. If you know what the saying, if it's too good to be true, it's too good to be true. If somebody is selling sheet, and this, I'm thinking of some particular images, some images in particular, there are sheets of stamps out there, especially high value commemorative stamps, that they've been made China or somewhere like that, and that they're the counterfeit stamps basically.
Right.
So, you know, if somebody is selling full sheets, bulk lots, you can have as many as you want stamps at crazy cheap prices, 30-40% of the value, or they'll offer to send you free samples. They're pretty much counterfeit. Don't touch them. They'll get kicked out for the system. I've actually seen cases of it on eBay, and you can see in the feedback where people have shown photos where Royal Mail have kicked it out. So always buy your stamp from a reputable stamp dealer if you like.
Yeah. If it's too good to be true, it's not true.
Absolutely.
The old adage, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So we are already 10 minutes away from the hour.
Oh,
I told you to go quick. So I've got some more general questions that we can touch on. In your opinion, you do a lot of business on eBay.
Yep.
What would you say are the pros and cons of eBay currently? How do you find eBay?
I find eBay really, I mean, obviously I see a lot of chat in some of the Facebook groups and everything else that I'm in, a lot of negative stuff, and in some cases I can see why. In my particular area, I'm very lucky. I've already said it a few times. I've got an amazing customer base, so I get very few scammers and everything else. But I think if I was working in tech and clothing, about all the returns and the crazy things that buyers do, I'd be a little bit more on the other side. I love eBay community. I've been drawn in by that. That's the big thing for me, especially with coming from that corporate background. I've managed to get on with eBay, get involved with eBay. I was an award winner in 2023. I think you was last year.
Yes,
and that
we must
drew
talk
me in.
about that if we find time.
Yeah. Well, it was that. Do you know what? And if there's any eBay, I'm sure there's eBay resellers listening now. I would urge you to get involved in the community, whether you go into an eBay Open, some of the roadshow meetings, or if we can talk very briefly about the seller meetups in a moment as well. But just do something to get involved with the community and meet other sellers. You'll learn so much from other sellers. And up until I won that award in 2023, I was literally on my own in my office for 3 years by myself, just doing listings. And although things were going up, I was doing a lot of things wrong. I could have done it so much better.
Right.
And getting out there and listening to some of the eBay staff, and more importantly, meeting other sellers, that's what's pushed me on.
Yeah.
I'm now doing a lot more things right. And it feels a lot nicer as well. There really is a community.
Yeah, I would agree 100%. I mean, we were doing this job way before I even knew what YouTube was. And we were very isolated and felt like we were the only people in the world doing this crazy thing. Of course we weren't. And now I can't imagine not speaking to other resellers on a daily basis. And it just, when we briefly chatted the other day, it's like, it gives you someone to bounce that, talk about that return or talk about that crazy customer. And people don't glaze over because they're in the same world that we're in.
Funny you say that. I did do a short video about that, and again, you're talking to people that understand all of this. I mean, God, if I talk to my wife about stamps or eBay, oh God. I mean, I never talked about my old job when I worked at Pirelli, never. But I try and talk about this all the time, and it's boring. So we need to meet and talk to other resellers.
So let's try and get some of these subject matters out of the way. So congratulations on winning the eBay award, the same award that we were lucky enough to win last year. Which category were you in?
I was above and beyond,
Right.
so service related basically, and yeah,
What
it was.
an incredible achievement. That's fantastic.
I mean, I never expected to win. It was the first time of entering,
Yeah.
and it was great. Do you know what it did? It actually gave me recognition because I've obviously said where I came from, and it was quite a trendy sort of job involved in Formula One, and I
Mm.
used to get to drive lots of nice cars and everything. And then when I said I was, I'm selling stamps, then people were like, "You what? Does that
Yeah.
even, is that even still a thing? And why are you doing that?" And obviously winning that award sort of really pushed me on. And I'm out there telling everyone what I do now, and I don't care, and I'm really proud of it, and I love it. Whereas
Yeah,
I wasn't like that before the award.
it's kind of validation for what you do. Not that we
Yeah.
should need it, but sometimes we do kind of need that validation that we're doing something positive and we're doing well, and to be celebrated really does
Mm,
it helps somehow, doesn't it? I
mm.
know what you're saying. And then you were saying about meetups. Now you've got involved with the eBay meetups, the officially like where they
Yeah.
help you out. So how does that work, and how can people get involved with that?
Okay. So again, that all came off the back of getting involved with the community and winning the award. And it was only last October they started. The first one was up in Manchester, and basically they are, as we've said, local meetups where you get 20 to 25 sellers come and meet up. The meetings are run by sellers, so they're eBay supported. They're endorsed by eBay, effectively funded by eBay, but they're not run by eBay. They're run by the sellers. So we can bring eBay in to talk to the sellers about a particular slot, but essentially it's a sellers meeting. Um, we've got, I think there's 10 areas that have gone live around the country.
Hmm.
There's a number of seller meetups coming up shortly. Actually, can I just throw a few dates at you, and that'll
Yeah,
just give you an
absolutely.
idea. So we've got Manchester seller meetup. I think they're on their fourth one now. That's coming up on the 11th of September. That one that's actually fully booked. I think there's 25 people on that. There's a waiting list for that. There's a London fashion seller meetup. That's on the 12th of September. That's in Richmond in eBay's head office. So that one's particularly aimed at fashion, and I think Shell is running that one.
Right. That's a
Um,
great. Have you managed to get up to Richmond? Have you been up there?
yes,
Yeah,
yes,
it's a
yeah, and I think I'm
great
down
spot.
there down next week as well, actually.
Right.
East Midlands, one that I've been involved in. We've got our third one there. That's at Conkers near Ashby de la Zouch on the 18th of September. That'll be my last one there, and I'm going to move closer to home and do one around Rugby, between Rugby, sort of Northamptonshire. But so East Midlands, 18th of September. There's one in the Wirral on the 18th of September as well. Birmingham, 16th of October. We've also got the eBay Open on the 1st of October, and the seller meetups is going to have a stand at the eBay Open. So if you're an eBay business seller at the Open, come and see us at our stand and have a chat to us about the meetups. They're so beneficial. Obviously they're great for relatively new sellers, but you know what? They're actually really good for experienced sellers as well.
Yeah.
We had one guy come to the Birmingham meeting. He'd been doing it for 25 years. And it's like, well, has he got anything to learn? But he wanted to get reinfused about it, and he
Yeah.
loved it, and he still went away picking up little bits.
And very often it's not about wanting to learn anything. It's about connecting with people. And
Yeah.
that's what we've been doing meetups in our own kind of wacky style for 8, 9 years now.
Mm.
And it's the primary focus for us is just inviting anybody in and making them feel accepted. Of course, there's eBay chat all night long, but it doesn't have to be. And a lot of people go there just to let their hair down with like-minded people.
Yeah.
And that, I think, is just as important about learning some little thing you can do within eBay. But of course, we all share information if that's what people want to do.
Absolutely. I mean, some of it's been sort of formatted so that we'll cover particular topics, and others just, as you say, just have a chat or listen to other people's seller stories and learn that way. There are other meetings as well. We've got Brighton starting very soon. North Wales has one. Bristol, Portsmouth. As I said, next year I'll be doing one in Northamptonshire. But
You
yes,
mentioned Bristol there.
yes,
Susan says eBay business retailer meetups are great for networking.
mm.
Even just coming for a chat about eBay. Myself and Tommy, I assume that's Tommy
Ah,
Trose,
yep, it
are
is.
running our second event in Bristol next month. So if you're in the area, is there a central place where people can go and get this info about meetups?
There is. We can get the tickets from Eventbrite. There is also, we have a Facebook page as well, eBay Meetups UK. We
Right.
might be able, perhaps Nick, get some links and drop it in.
We can
after
sort
the
out some
live.
links.
And
So if you're watching this after, hopefully there'll be some links. But so if you search within Facebook, that should come up, I
yeah,
assume.
just on that Bristol, I didn't mention that in my list of dates because it looked like the ticket sales had closed. So might just be worth them having a quick look at their Eventbrite to make sure that the ticket sales are still open for that one.
Right. It says 18th September there.
Yeah.
Interesting. Yeah, so we're just talking about where you can get more information. So there is a Facebook page people can find.
Yeah. Steve there's asking about the East Midlands meetup. That one's at Conkers, and that one's on the 18th of September. The tickets available on Eventbrite. Oh, there's Edward. I know Edward. He did, Edward. Or as I say, join the Facebook page, eBay Meetups UK.
Fantastic. I've covered most of what I had on my sheet, which is unusual because we usually run out of time. Before we start wrapping up and we do words of wisdom that I explained when we chatted the other day, what are your plans? What do you think ahead? Are you a kind of a 5-year plan person? Are you just seeing where it takes you? What's going on with your business?
Well, I can still grow. I've been trying to sort of decide, do I bring someone else into the business or not? It's very tricky because of the knowledge side of things, and I do it, from home and that as well. I've thought about getting a premises and growing that way, but it wouldn't fit my lifestyle. So I want to keep it in the same lifestyle, but I know I can grow it by at least 50, 100% still within what I do. So yeah, there's still some nice growth I can get out of it. Just carry on as I am.
And you're going to continue to be very active within the eBay community and the meetups, I guess.
Yeah, absolutely. I've got a lot from it, so yeah, give a little bit back. I mentioned I'm going to have some small stores on Etsy and Shopify as well. Starting to do a little bit to social media. Just started TikToks a month, 5 weeks ago. Not very good at them yet.
I'll have to get your link so we can click those so we can go and watch your TikToks.
Yeah.
Okay, fantastic. So as I alluded to a minute ago, regulars will know this already, and I can see some words of wisdom coming in. What we like to do, we try to be a positive channel and we try to leave these on a positive note. So I'm going to ask the audience, we've still got 177 with us. Well done for sticking around this long. If you drop in your words of wisdom, I'll read some out, and then when we have a guest on, you pick one that means something to you or that you like the sound of. So let's go back. I think Porky was first in. Good to see you, Porky. It says a personal one. Be wise enough not to dwell on closed doors and look for open windows. Nice. Sharon says, be like a postage stamp. Stick to one thing until you get there. That's kind of apt. Yeah, stick with it.
Offer a first-class service.
First-class service. Ross says, why put pictures of criminals up in the post office? What are we supposed to do? Write to them? Why don't they just put their pictures on stamps so the postman can look for them when delivering? What?
I don't think that one.
Interesting.
There is a porridge set of stamps out, actually. They've got criminals on them, technically. Ronnie Barker. Yeah.
I used to love that show.
They came out only, I don't know, 6 months or so ago.
Yeah, really I'm so out of touch. I must have stopped collecting PHQ cards. I think it would have been 97 when my grandfather sadly passed away, because he used to buy a set for himself and buy one for me, and we'd collect together. So I've completely lost touch since then. Occasionally I'll get wind of a set. There was a Bowie set, wasn't there, that came out?
David Bowie, 2017, I think that was. Yeah, very popular. That always sells out. Whenever I get those in, they're gone. Okay. There's a lot of people make art out stamps and that as well. So that's one of the sets that go and people put them in frames, and
that would make sense. Let's see if we've got any more coming in. Will says, if you want something you've never had, you will have to do something you've never done. Yeah, that's quite cool. It's like the one that I like is if you want things to change, you've got to change something. And people sit back and think, why is my life in this state? I don't like what I'm doing. Well, you need to change something then if you want it to change. Right, another one popped in. Good things travel slowly but arrive right on time. Oh, good things travel slowly but arrive right on time. I'll have to try and wrap my head around that one. It's interesting. Okay, there's not that many coming in today, so there you go. There's a selection.
No, I watched the Simon one you did actually. I think I watched that a few days ago. There were some cracking ones there. There was a few there I thought that relates to me. That relates to me. Do you know what? I was obviously working too much a few weeks back, and I got that came down.
I can't read it. I have to put it in.
Never get so busy making a living that you forget to make a life.
Absolutely.
That's because I was working too many hours at that point. So that appeared on my shelf just above my desk. So that was
fantastic.
Me told.
Well, that's a good one. Were there any of these that you think we should leave people with?
The first one I think related to me.
Porky's one.
Looking back, because I used to. That was one of the things. You did dwell on the past because you left a very safe thing. You know, absolutely right. You've got to just look forward and get on with it. And that's what that referring to the open windows about. Be wise enough not to dwell on closed doors and look for the open windows. Yeah. Oh, look ahead. Yeah, look ahead. What's done is done. Fun. Never go back. What's done is done. Onwards and upwards.
Perfect.
Yeah, that's it. Well done, Porky.
Well, thank you, Malcolm. That was enlightening in many ways this evening. So thank you for that.
Oh, thanks for having me. That's been great.
So I will endeavour to get some links, and I will put those below, so you can go over and certainly follow Malcolm on TikTok. I did open a TikTok, and I put hardly anything on there for ages. I need to get back into that. I'm more of an Instagram and YouTube guy, but yeah. And thank you so much for your time. We do appreciate it.
No, my pleasure. Really, really enjoyed it.
Good. And
we'll catch you at the Open.
We're going to the Open. Yeah,
I'll be there.
So we will see you there, and anyone else is coming along. Obviously, go and find Mal. You say you've got a stall there about the eBay meetups, right?
Yeah, there'll be a meetup stand. All of the leaders are taking turns. We're doing slots on the stand, so we can still do the rest of the stuff at the event as well. But there'll always be someone on the stand. I'm doing a couple of slots, so you might catch me. But if not, you'll catch one of the other leaders as well. And yeah, just have a chat about the meetups.
Perfect. So we'll certainly bump into each other again up there. And everyone else is watching it. If you can attend the the Open, it's a great day, and there'll be a bunch of us going out in the evening if you want to tag along to that. That's usually good fun as well. So we will see anyone at the eBay Open who's there. All that remains is to thank you again, Mark, and thank you for your time, and maybe we'll do another chat in the future.
Love to, and thanks everyone that's watching and that. Yeah, great.
Cheers everybody. So remember to stroke the like button on the way out, and yeah, we'll see you hopefully next week for another one.
Great.
Thanks everyone.
Thanks very much. Cheers all.